Jaguar XKR portfolio continues the famed British automaker's long-standing tradition of producing seductive and sporting coupes. A tradition first established by the XK120 fixed-head coupe of 1951 and most sensually personified by the fabulous XKE of the 1960s. Jaguar coupes, as the British like to call them, have always focused on two of the three hallmarks of the brand, grace and pace, while the third, space, has been relegated to the cramped back seat. As this is a performance review, let's take a look at the pace of the XKR portfolio. With 420 horsepower and a healthy 413 pound-feet of torque, to say the Jaguar XKR moves with haste is a bit of an understatement. 0 to 60 is dispatched in 4.2 seconds, and the quarter mile disappears in 12.6. All the while, the car gives you a muted V8 soundtrack thanks to its active exhaust baffling. There isn't much supercharger whine either, as Jaguar seems intent on giving us its excellent pace without too much fuss. While the sound of the XKR portfolio is perhaps too conservative for my personal taste, its braking performance most certainly is not. Backing up the impressive pace are the largest brakes ever fitted on a production Jaguar. 400mm front rotors are clamped down by massive 6-piston Alcon calipers, and the rears feature 4-piston calipers with slightly less large rotors. Now, collectively, they do an amazing job of halting the Jaguar's 3,800 pounds rather quickly. They also do so without complaint and without fade, as we discovered on our closed-off mountain road. Serving the Jag nearly as well on the mountain road was its ECAT suspension system. The computer-controlled shock valving works well at a brisk pace, but it prefers that you keep things under control at semi-civilized speeds. If you drive the XKR sports car hard, however, the suspension starts to show its limited range. Cornering is not quite as impressive as the acceleration and the braking, but this coupe's mission is much more about grand touring than it is about canyon carving. The ride and handling balance shows typical Jaguar mastery, providing excellent body control at less than Mach 1 speeds while still riding very comfortably. So it may seem a little bit out of its element when you're hustling it really hard, as it's a bit softly sprung, but it's perfectly judged for its intended use. Likewise, the speed-sensitive power steering, which also works well around town and in semi-quick driving, but suffers a lack of feel and communication as you increase the pace. Driven within its intended performance envelope, however, the Jag Coupe covers ground very quickly while staying completely civilized, something that can also be said of its fantastic gearbox. The ZF-supplied 6-speed automatic transmission is among the best automatics in the world, and it happens to fit the XKR's character perfectly. It can lope around town delivering imperceptible gear shifts, or when the mood strikes you, it can play sequential manual pretty convincingly with paddles located behind the steering wheel and aggressive and amazing sounding throttle blipping downshifts. So the limited production Jaguar XKR portfolio gives you just enough involvement to be entertaining as you move down the road in a brisk yet civilized manner. It may not provide sports car reactions and sensory overload, but to be fair, it isn't intended to do so. Rather, it gives you the ability to get where you're going incredibly quickly and in high style. It is perfectly in keeping with Jaguar tradition, providing more than enough of the grace and pace that its customers will demand. I'm Emile Bure, OnCars. For additional episodes on this car and more, visit OnCars.com.